online press conference. We have the pleasure to have with us the new ambassador of the new Republic of Barbados that was just created at the very beginning of this month. So it's an honor for us to have you, His Excellency, Mr. Chad Blackman, to have you with us here. And welcome also to all of those who follow us on this Zoom session. You will be able to ask questions at the end of the press conference. And welcome also to all of those who are following us on our website, www.pressclub.ch, or on our YouTube channel or Facebook channel, where you can follow this session by video live. So it's a great pleasure to have you. And I will, without any further introduction, I will give you the floor, Mr. Ambassador Chad Blackman. You are ambassador in Geneva to the United Nations and to the international organizations. And you just brought your credentials to the president of the Swiss Confederation, Guy Parmelin. Welcome here online in Geneva, and the floor is yours, Mr. Ambassador Chad Blackman.
Thank you very much, Pierre, and good morning, good afternoon to all of you, depending on where you are in the world. And thank you very much for joining us today. Yesterday in Bern, Switzerland's capital city, the government of Barbados took a very significant step in the deepening of relations between the government and people of Switzerland when I presented my letters of credence to His Excellency Guy Parmelin, President of the Swiss Confederation, as Barbados' ambassador to Switzerland. Historically, the seat of accreditation was in Brussels, but our government took a decision that the seat would now be in Geneva, which is within the jurisdiction of Switzerland itself. This, of course, increases the mandate of the mission here, as it will now serve as both Barbados' embassy to Switzerland and also the permanent mission to the United Nations and other international organizations at Geneva, the latter of which existed up to this point. This step is really about building on a strong relationship that has existed between our two countries, where Barbados now seeks to solidify and advance its interests in Switzerland in terms of diplomacy, inward and outward trade, international business, tourism, sports, and also given the strong leadership of both nations in areas of sustainable development, we think that this is something that we can certainly build on between our two great countries. When I met with President Parmelin, we spoke on a number of areas, and we expressed a desire to have greater areas of cooperation between our countries, including, but not limited to, educational development, training, scholarships, as well as the overall building of synergies between our young people. The climate crisis was central to the discussion and was agreed that we must redouble our efforts in the global fight, whilst also building resilience and capacities to do so. Switzerland, to its credit, continues to be a very strong advocate for sustainable development and environmental protections. And this is also a major priority and focus for Barbados. As you can imagine, talks surrounding tourism, both inward and outward, was central, as we both agree that Barbados and Switzerland have two mature world-class destinations, and that greater travel between our two countries would be a step in the right direction. As such, we discussed exploring the possibility of flights from Switzerland, both from Geneva and Zurich, into Barbados, and those modalities would be held between our tourism and international transport entities, both in Barbados and Switzerland, and of course, with a number of Swiss airlines. This certainly will facilitate greater trade, business, and tourism into both nations. And I really want to say to the people of Switzerland, and I repeat, I really want to say to the people of Switzerland, Barbados is your ideal destination for luxury, relaxation, the finest beaches in the world, music, culture, and of course, our finest invention and physical export, Barbados rum. It certainly would be remiss of me if I didn't use the occasion to talk about our recently appointed national hero, the Right Excellent Ambassador Robin Rihanna Fenty, who received her designation some 2 weeks ago when Barbados became the world's most recent republic and continues to make our country very proud. It is for this reason that I'm also very heartened that we have on today's press conference the heads of our tourism, investment, and export agencies, who will share with you some of the key areas and opportunities that the Swiss can look forward to from the deepening of ties with Barbados, as Barbados is open for business and welcomes new possibilities on inward investments. In closing, I really want to underscore the value and importance in which our government attaches on building out our relationship and ties with the Swiss. And we look forward to ensuring that our two countries, who whilst are very diverse, are very similar in many respects, and therefore allows for us to build on a strong and solid footing for the future. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Chad Blackman. And now I will give the floor to Mr. Mark Hill. Mr. Mark Hill is the CEO of Export Barbados. The floor is yours, Mr. Mark Hill. Please activate your microphone. Yes, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you can see my screen being shared.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for this opportunity, Ambassador. We thank you very much for paving the way, opening up the door for building stronger relationships with Switzerland. We see Switzerland as a very critical partner in our export focus as we go forward as a republic. What you're seeing on the screen right now is one of our key focus as far as exports is concerned. We're really positioning Barbados as what we call the bio island. So really a life science and biotech island. And we know that Switzerland, I hope you can see that other slide right there. Have you seen the slide transition?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we know that Switzerland is very much a powerhouse when it comes to the life sciences. And Barbados is now emerging in terms of our capacity to engage in the life sciences in a more significant way. So what are we looking to bring to the table as far as sustainability in the life sciences is concerned? So as far as health science, healthcare, biotechnology, and the medical sector, Barbados is moving towards a more low carbon health system as we move the island towards 100% renewable energy by 2030. So the sector will look to mitigate the whole life science space in terms of the impact on climate and climate change, and look at how we address the climate crisis by taking this sector and making it a lot more environmentally friendly. And that is where we want to have this discourse with Switzerland and look to deepening our relationship along that particular line. So currently we are looking at taking our estates and investing a lot more in more sustainable and environmentally friendly manufacturing practices in the life sciences and in biotrade. We know that as a partner that Switzerland can bring a lot of value to the table. Currently, Switzerland's science exports of value around $108 billion US in 2020, which accounts for 44% of your total exports. And for us, Switzerland really is a key partner in positioning Barbados for the type of future that we're seeking to develop as a small island developing state with your Life Science Switzerland's program. So we can see that as far as the life sciences are concerned in Switzerland, is a big chunk of your exports is covered in that space. So we would really like to have opportunities for collaboration on a number of levels. Some of our manufacturers being able to come to Switzerland, Swedish manufacturers come to Barbados, and we build this new life science ecosystem together. In terms of Barbados, as we pivot towards being a republic, we're really framing out a strong, what we call an export mindset. As you know, COVID has impacted on our tourism product in a significant way, significant declines. But while that was the case, exports have proven to be very sustainable. Our export numbers only fell by 8%, while tourism fell by as much as 80%. But now it's coming back up. But what we want to do is really build exports as a strong resilience pillar in our economy. And to that extent, we ask 3 core questions. Is it real? Can it win? And is it worth it? So we know that the life sciences can win, We know that the licenses are real, and we know that the licenses are also worth it as well. We have a very, as far as our GDP to capita is concerned, just around 15,000 US dollars per person. And then you can see that Switzerland is there at 86,000 US dollars per person. So the two economies can really strengthen each other and create value across the board for each other. Our intent is to try to get our export targets per capita up to 3,500 US dollars, while Switzerland's export per capita is at 36,000 US dollars. So even a 1% participation in what Switzerland is doing will lend itself to significant growth to Barbados's economy as a whole. So we have three key pillars, and that being our people, so our design economy, our ocean, and then our bioeconomy, our biosphere, which is what we're looking to protect and mitigate against any further damage due to climate change, and to really strengthen our economy along this particular line. You can see there that our trading profile is very much based on the bio trade at this point. We want to augment that now with a stronger scientific input into our trading at each tier level for our companies. Again, in terms of greening the life sciences, and by greening, what we're talking about is not green life sciences, but we're talking specifically about in Barbados, powering and producing our pharmaceuticals and our products using hydrogen as a base material, so that what we're actually exporting is actually green. So that is a key factor there for us. Again, as Ambassador have highlighted, we have significant experience in fermentation technology, particularly with rum, but fermentation technology can pivot towards a number of different products and value-add products that we know that Switzerland is very good at producing going forward. The other thing is that Barbados, I'm just trying to wrap up here right now, Barbados is a life science and biotech island. We're trying to position ourselves so we have a really strong accelerator going forward, a very strong global council, which we're hoping to frame up with some of the top scientists around the world, a very strong intellectual property framework, again, high life science infrastructure, and a talented scientific workforce. Barbados produces every cycle at our university about 1,500 persons who are qualified in the life sciences. So we now have to now create new jobs for them. So Swedish companies can be assured that coming to Barbados, that the workforce and the manpower being placed, and I can say it's a lot more affordable. So say, for example, you have 8,000 US for scientists in Switzerland. In Barbados, that same $8,000 for 8,000 Barbadian dollars for scientists means that the cost of delivering life sciences in Barbados is a lot more affordable as far as labor is concerned. So you get the same type of expertise, but at a better cost, better pricing point. And then finally, also too, we become a nearshoring opportunity, utilizing our nearshoring and our economic zone act that just passed, and being able to function within our scientific park as well. So it's not quite tourism. I believe the CEO for tourism is going to speak to that, but we're looking to frame out how do scientists come, have a welcome stamp for scientists that they can bring their families, live and operate in Barbados. So the picture I normally paint here is in the cold weather, going to the lab, and then back to the cold weather, when you can do the same thing in here in Barbados, where you ride your bicycle to the lab, and then you go for a swim after all year round. So scientists now can do the same level of research and development, but they can do it from paradise. I'll just skip that slide. So who we want to welcome to Barbados: pharmaceutical and drug manufacturers, medical technology manufacturing companies, preclinical trials, advanced preclinical and clinical trials approved by this globally skilled council, bioenergy companies, and research and development organizations, and food science. Food science is something that we're really very strong at, and we really want to open up to the world that they can come in and put that tropical spin on the food science aspect of the life sciences as well. We have a 23-acre space earmarked at one of our industrial areas called Newton for 200,000 square feet of clean, scientific, science-grade facilities. So we're in the process of now doing all the design and planning, but we will be working very hard to have this delivered so it's available for firms who want to come into the island. The building that's right next to that at the bottom of the screen is Gildan, one of the leading companies in the world when it comes to t-shirt manufacturing, and they have their headquarters right there at the scientific park. Again, we're integrating biotech robotics. So Barbados is positioning itself to be very sophisticated, very high-end, and very, very cutting edge. And we really want to encourage the Swedish companies that are there, that for further discussion, you can reach out to us at Export Barbados. You can reach out to myself through the embassy, and we will be here to help you come and explore the business of life science in paradise on the Island Barbados. So just thank you very much for this opportunity. But I just want to give you that quick overview of where we're going, how we're looking to get there, and the benefits and services that we're looking to offer at the same time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mark Hill, CEO of Export Barbados. Thank you. And now I will give the floor to Mrs. Kaye Brathwaite, and you are the CEO of Invest Barbados, and you also share the screen for a presentation. Welcome to you, and I give you the floor, Mrs. Brathwaite.
Thank you, and good morning to all. Thank you very much, Pierre. Good morning, Ambassador, and all the rest of my colleagues here from Export Barbados, BTMI, as well as the press from Switzerland. My name is Kaye Brathwaite. I am the CEO of Invest Barbados. Just a little background about Invest Barbados. Invest Barbados is the government statutory body and agency responsible for foreign direct investment into Barbados. And we work in collaboration with Mark from Export Barbados, as well with BTMI, where we look to make sure that we are working on one common ground in terms of looking for investment into the island, as well as promoting the island as the ideal place to play, work, live, and invest. So we like to say at Invest Barbados, we have a welcoming investment climate here in Barbados. We welcome everyone to come and explore Barbados and explore those ideal opportunities that you have in Barbados for investment. And we also like to advise you in terms of the quality of life that can present you here in Barbados while you are invested in Barbados. As Mark rightfully said, you can do your practice, you can do your life sciences, you can do your company, and then go to the beach. Nothing like operating from paradise. So Barbados became the world's newest republic on November 30th, 2021. While we celebrated our 55th year of being an independent nation, we also transitioned to Republican status. But why are some of the things that Barbados can work for you? We have a well-regulated and business-friendly environment. We have excellent infrastructure. We boast of 100% fiber optics and connection beyond lots of places in the world in terms of Wi-Fi and data and 4G data and so on. A network of tax and investment treaties. We have over just about 50 bilateral tax agreements, and we have a couple of bilateral trade agreements. And therefore, Barbados becomes that little hub where there are a lot of spokes and a lot of reaches that once you're situated in Barbados, you can actually reach other countries from just being operating from Barbados. And of course, we have a competitive tax regime. And we like to boost in terms of one of the best resources that Barbados have is actually its human resources, a highly educated workforce that includes experienced tax planning, finance, accounting, technology, and legal professionals. We have political and economic stability, and most of all, we have a very excellent quality of life that is very safe for persons who wanted to live, work, and play and invest in Barbados. some of the main areas we would want to get into, and this, again, this is almost Invest Barbados. It's like the glue that brings both BTMI, Export Barbados, BTII, and all those agencies together. We look at it from a holistic point of view, but some of the areas and sectors we are aiming to get into as we look to diversify the economy is global financial services. Barbados actually is one of the places that have a lot of financial services currently, and we're looking to expand that sector and industry into new areas of financial services. Renewable energy, of course, Barbados' aim is to be carbon neutral by 2030, and of course then the renewable energy sector and champion, especially through Export Barbados and the Ministry of Energy and the Ministry of Blue Economy, is one of our very focused sectors. Of course, we want to continue with tourism, but we want to look at it in terms of niche tourism products and medical tourism products, being that place where you can come and have your medical procedures done in a very high-end, high-quality establishment and recuperate in paradise, as we would like to say. And of course, real estate. Barbados boosts for some of the world's best high-end real estate. ITC and FinTech, we are looking into the digital sphere. We have made several inroads, and we are one of the places which have that regulatory sandbox for new FinTech companies to operate from while they're getting their feet wet and stable. Of course, manufacturing in terms of food security, research and development. You just heard from Export Barbados in terms of the life science thrust. Global education services, we have a number of universities here already which are global education services, and we look to boost Barbados as that place to actually bring your university and allow your children, students, to come here and live and be educated. And of course, Barbados itself has its own very high educational product, hence the high quality of human resources, and of course, agro-processing. So this is but a snippet of the areas we want to get into, but we encourage you to continue the conversation, and we encourage you to explore Barbados further. So we say, let our teams at Invest Barbados be your guide. We are your first point of contact. We guide, we facilitate, we promote, we also hold your hand through the process from interest to inception of your business, even continuing to grow with you through your business. We liaise with key public and private sector partners, including government agencies, business associations, and service providers. We assist with things like work permits. And basically, as I mentioned before, we have an excellent and thriving aftercare program, because we don't just bring you in, let you begin to operate and just leave you out there. We provide that aftercare throughout your service in Barbados. But I think one of the best ways for, one of the best ways for you to understand what Barbados has to offer is to actually see a very short video.
We are an island of 430 square kilometers and a country punching above its weight, with free healthcare and free education to a tertiary level for all its community. Our heritage is one of stability, fair elections, and good governance. That's not surprising, as we have the third oldest parliament in the Western Hemisphere. Our treasure chest is filled with hearts of gold and precious smiles. There's no greater value than friendly, intelligent people with varied beliefs living together in harmony. Come, have a taste of mouth-watering dishes with food freshly plucked from the ocean and seasoned with flavor and love. Treat yourself to luxurious accommodations, dance in the street, and enjoy thrilling underwater and land activities. With easy access via international air and seaports, excellent highways, high-speed telecommunications, modern healthcare facilities, and a low crime rate, this is the place to bring your family, the place to live, the place to be. We welcome you to stay in an island that offers an enviable quality of life. It is an environment with a highly qualified workforce and creative minds. With a well-regulated business setting, competitive corporate taxes, and an expanding treaty network, we are open for business. We are consistently breaking new barriers and exploring possibilities. We grow families, spread joy, and bring light for those who cannot see. Our landscape is vibrant and brimming with opportunities. Our vision for the future is clear and bright as we build green, blue, and orange economies, not just colors, but who we want to be. This is Barbados, and we Bajans are reaching greater heights, creating a better world and a better life. Come, join us. For investment opportunities, contact investbarbados.org.
So I hope I was able to tease you with that video, and we look forward to continuing the conversation through the ambassador to Switzerland with Switzerland, and eventually maybe coming up and having some one-on-one meetings or even some discussions in Switzerland, obviously through the ambassador. And I want to take this opportunity to say congratulations, ambassador, and to welcome as we continue to form those partnerships with our Swiss friends. Thank you. Here, you're on mute.
So I welcome you here, and the floor is yours, Mr. Thraenhart.
Good morning, Honorable Ambassador, colleagues, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for including the official National Tourism Board, the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc. today. It is my honor to have been invited to make a short intervention at this important event. Tourism is about people, created by and for the people, and tourism is not happening to the people without their control. Tourism is not just a substantial economic contributor to our economy, but also the most effective way to build communities around infrastructure, health, education, quality, and global political strengths. It defines the right mix of tourists and also identifies the cost of each market segment, or in other words, the burden tourism creates to the destination. The Bajan people set the standard for our visitors and how best to live life while elevating their own thriving society. Travel becomes a force for good with a goal to achieving balanced tourism. But in order to do so, we need to start with why. Why do we want tourism in Barbados? The answer to this question is the axis upon which all policies and programs should be implemented and the key to the decision-making process. The primary objective of developing tourism industry in Barbados is for economic development through the economic enfranchisement of the local population and the generation of government revenues to develop social and infrastructural services such as education, healthcare, roads, and develop social welfare programs. Secondary objectives relate to the social development of Barbadians and the sharing of local culture and experiences. As the main foreign exchange earner for the country, tourism is pivotal to the island's economic and sustainable development. Therefore, it is imperative that tourism be deployed sustainably to safeguard the livelihoods and lives of generations to come. The tourism industry in Barbados is 40% of our GDP, and we therefore must work to protect our livelihoods and develop systematic ways to protect our future with assets we can depend on. It is our social and environmental assets that make us who we are and also who we want to be. They are not separate from our economy. We can protect our culture, our coral reefs, make preparations for a sea level rise, and we must invest in our local citizens' ability to provide unique and sustainable services to our visitors. We will facilitate the industry's role in creating the financial instruments that will finance our future through green, sustainable methods and renewable energies. Simply, we must secure employment, manage our resources sustainably, and foster a tourism economy which covers the cost of social and environmental assets upon which tourism depends. Barbados seeks to establish a new way to developing business for tourism that ensures we're creating a future for our citizens by managing and protecting our most precious assets, focusing on 3 pillars. 1, environmental, including low carbon and biodiversity. 2, social, local tangible and intangible heritage. And 3, economical, which includes inclusive growth, inward investment, gender equality, and job creation. These assets, including our culture, environment, and our land, will be ever more essential to our future. As we seek to secure this by financing for adaptation and green infrastructure to protect our industry and our island, focusing on the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, including issues such as climate change, single-use plastic, and food waste. The objective of the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc. must be to reinvent and revolutionize the mature Barbados tourism product in a way that will bolster the Barbados economy and enhance the quality of lives of all Barbadians. One of the main tactics to achieve this goal should be a comprehensive diversification and differentiation strategy to identify and focus on unique elements of the destination. Barbados will set itself apart from the competition by identifying the various aspects of the island, which are unique to Barbados and can be described as wow factors globally. Specifically highlighting these extremely interesting and unique aspects of the Barbados product offering will generate or renew interest in the brand and elevate the island in the eyes of the world. Product diversification will also be initiated in order to satisfy the demands and expectations of the type of contemporary travelers who is looking for more than a beach and wants to enjoy a personalized and unique, authentic Barbadian experience through cultural immersion and opportunities to live like a local. One way to identify those unique experiences is through the development of niches and routes through market-driven product development. In closing, together we have a tremendous opportunity to position Barbados as a stakeholder-centric tourism destination, leading with climate and regeneration to protect our assets in order to deliver an unmatched experience that is truly Barbadian, created by warm, welcoming, friendly people, ensuring benefits to the entire nation, showing the world what it means to be Bajan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Thraenhart. So thank you for this complete, very thoughtful presentations. Thank you to Mr. Ambassador Chad Blackman for his presentation and to other speakers today. So if there are questions in the room, we can take them. We can take them if you raise the electronic hand. You can raise it up in clicking on the bottom button on your screen, reactions, and you will be able to ask directly your question, or you can also use our chat to ask the question. So just to let you some time for this, I perhaps would like to go back to Mr. Ambassador for a short question to you, or the other speakers can complete it too, for sure. You mentioned at the start of your presentation the fact that there would be, could be, should be a link with airline, a new air link between Geneva, Zurich, and Barbados. Can you tell us at which stage the discussions are for this new airline? If there is it something that will be created soon? At what stage are you in this concept?
Yeah, thank you very much. What I can tell you, first to set the context in that regard, Barbados and Switzerland enjoys having an air services agreement from 2009. That's recent as 2009. So that paves the way for such an initiative to take place. But what I can tell you is that the next step in that process is for the International Transport Ministry in Barbados, as well as the players in Switzerland, to have that discussion to see the modalities of flying to Barbados from Switzerland, both in terms of Zurich and Geneva. And I'll stick a pin there, I'll tell you why. Now, Geneva enjoys a very unique status within Switzerland because certainly from our perspective, it serves as not just a hub for diplomacy, but it is a very international and metropole city. But equally, on both sides of Geneva, it serves as the airport for this part and region of France. For those of you who are based in Geneva, know that you simply can go to France. It takes about 10 minutes on one side and 15 minutes on the other side. So those citizens in France as well, who literally live within a, let's say, 10 to 15 mile radius, will also benefit from that location of going to Barbados. Barbados, of course, as you've heard, is an excellent jurisdiction for business, tourism, leisure, luxury. But then further north, northeast, of course, is Zurich, the financial hub of Switzerland. So even in terms of the northern part as well, you get the wider mix and therefore the connectivity. I've spoken to a number of persons before here in Switzerland who've gone to Barbados, but they've also commented on the fact that they would have had to take 2 aircrafts to get there. And they said they would really love to be able to fly directly from this jurisdiction to our jurisdiction. And I think therefore the next step, as I mentioned, Pierre, is really for us on both sides, Barbados and Switzerland, particularly with the airlines here, whether that be Swiss Air or Edelweiss or both, to really look at the modalities to see how can we do that. But it will also take a lot of demand driving as well on both sides. And I'm heartened that our CEO of BTMI is on the call, because the promotion of Barbados to Switzerland will drive that demand and vice versa. So our Swiss partners as well will have to be driving the demand, but not just from a tourism perspective, investment, exports, culture, the entire mix. And those are the things that will have to drive the demand for an airline into Barbados out of either Zurich or Geneva. But the demand is there, the interest is there, and now is the time for us to do so.
Thank you. The news here is for sure that Barbados has become a republic, which is the latest republic created in the world. But what does it mean concretely for you? What has it changed on the side of the business, on the side of tourism, on the side of your own development? This new status, does it change something to the previous status, or is this just, let's say, the normal continuity?
Well, I can tell you one thing, of course, that has naturally changed is that we now have a head of state who is Barbadian. But in more practical terms, in terms of business, I can tell you nothing changes in terms of our trading partners or trading relationships. There are no new agreements, as it were, that we have to sign. Barbados still enjoys strong relationships with countries around the world. And therefore, it is really more about a completion of an exercise that would have started in 1966 when we attained our independence. Barbados, of course, amongst many other countries in the world, enjoys strong relations with other countries, and that will stand. But it is certainly our desire as a nation to ensure that as we move into our further development trajectory, that we stand on our own, as we've been able to do successfully for 55 years, but to really empower any young Barbadian in the future to aspire to be the head of state of our country. And I think for us to be able to do so is really a testament to our leadership, and kudos must be given to Prime Minister Motley for being able to lead us into that direction. And also, let me signal and say congratulations to our president, President Mason, who is, of course, our first president of Barbados. So for us, it is really a proud moment. But I must also tell you that my colleagues here in International Geneva, they're all very heartened about this step. And it really signals well that the international community looks on and is being inspired by Barbados providing such leadership at this time.
So you will be based in Geneva, as you mentioned it very clearly, and this means that you are going to be active in different international organizations. Can you tell us already where your priorities are really? Is it WTO? Is it WHO? Where will you be the most active in the next year?
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, already since I've been here for 3 years, and of course I've been focusing on the multilateral, because only up to yesterday we were doing that. Now, our priority continues to be, of course, trade. So issues relative to trade and development in the WTO and its total aspects is very important to us. Second of all, UNCTAD is a very strong and important institution, we would have hosted UNCTAD 15 in Barbados. But of course, the other institutions, WHO, as you mentioned, is very important to us, the World Intellectual Property Organization, human rights. We're very active on that file. The International Labour Organization, Barbados sits on the governing body of that institution as well. So there are a number of institutions here that we cover that are priorities. But further, the mandate has also been increased to Vienna. So we cover issues relative to development from the point of view of sustainability and industrial development out of Vienna, okay? We also look at the Food and Agriculture Organization in Rome. So the mission in Geneva has a very wide mandate, but it's very critical for our country's development. And that is why at this time, we're really focusing on our strategic areas of interest in trying to drive Barbados' development. And that's why, again, I really want to underscore how pleased and heartened I am that we had the head of 3 of our leading agencies in Barbados on the call, because they are the ones on the front line of ensuring that the world understands what Barbados has to offer and how do you implement those ideas, those opportunities, how do you bridge those gaps as well. So Geneva's mission, working of course with all of our missions and embassies around the world and high commissions, plays a very critical role in ensuring that Barbados' foreign policy, which invariably of course is a reflection of our domestic policy, continues to be advanced in the interests of the people of Barbados.
We all know that tourism was under real stress in these last 2 years because of COVID. I think that one of the speakers mentioned that tourism in Barbados went down something like 80%. Can you tell us a little bit how you see the near future of tourism in Barbados? Is it going up again? Are people coming slowly back? Or what is the situation right now with COVID in Barbados and tourism? I know it's not an easy one.
Well, I'll give my preliminary views, but of course I'll invite the CEO to give his views and response to that. But certainly there has been an uptick in demand for travel to Barbados. When you look at the recent communication coming out of our hotel and tourism industry, there is a heightened demand for our hotels and accommodation. When you look at flights, lots of flights are coming into Barbados, new flights as well from North America, Europe, etc. And so therefore, Barbados continues to be on the lips of persons around the world. But as you mentioned, COVID-19 continues to be in full flight, and we therefore have to ensure that we balance livelihoods and ensure that our protocols are robust, but at the same time it allows for the tourism industry to thrive. And I think that credit has to be given to the government for trying its best to balance that lives and livelihoods as well. And persons can rest assured that when they go to Barbados, they are going to a country that is well prepared to take care of both, one, of its citizens, and two, of its tourists and its guests, in terms of ensuring that the protocols are observed, in terms of ensuring that we provide a safe environment for everyone who goes there. But as I said, I would invite the CEO of BTMI to give his reflections.
Yes, Mr. Thraenhart.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the ambassador. He is a true passionate advocate for tourism, as I can hear. So it's very great to hear that. I'm new to the job. I'm in my first 6 weeks of the job, but I'd like to quickly just mention the potential for tourism. I think coming out of the pandemic, I would say even greater for Barbados than it was even before the COVID-19 pandemic. Why is that? We were at the World Travel Market in London with the Honourable Minister, Lisa Cummings, and also the chair of the BTMI, Ms. Roseanne Myers, and the team from Europe, Anita Nightingale, who is running the Europe market, and Cheryl Carter, who's running the global markets and the UK market. The perception and the sentiment of Barbados was extremely positive. Our booth was always really busy. And what we've heard from the airlines and also the tour operators was a strengthening demand to see how they could introduce or strengthen the existing relationships with the travel partners and the government. I echo the sentiments of the ambassador that the government has done an extraordinary job to really make sure that during these challenging times, tourism can be reinvented and the product can be refreshed and is ready when we get out of the pandemic. Now I can say over the Christmas period, there is probably no hotel room, or it's very hard to find a hotel room on the island. So it's very busy. And I think that's good. Now, obviously, we need to knock on wood here because, you know, we are still in COVID period. There are new cases. I just heard from universities in the US that have new spikes and so on. So I think we're still not out of this pandemic. So we need to create resilience. And that resilience is done via a bottom-up approach by really engaging the travel sector on the ground. And we need to collaborate together, not only with the industry, with the residents, but also with the travel partners and our foreign missions to make sure that we collaborate together. So that's why I appreciate this event that you put on, because I think the media is an important tool to make sure that we have consistent messages out there, because in an era of a very, what we call fake news or confusing messages, I think the media plays a crucial role to make sure that we build trust and confidence for our consumers, to make sure that Barbados is a safe place to visit. The cases have been going down. And so compared to other destinations around the world, I think Barbados is the place to be. So I hope just in my first 6 weeks, I don't want to overstep my authority here since I'm still learning, but I think that's my personal sentiments that I've been seeing so far. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Perhaps just two questions, two questional figures that I would like to ask you. The first one is, what does tourism represent in share of the GDP of Barbados about? And second one, where are the tourists coming in from? I mean, what's the main population of tourism in Barbados?
Thank you very much. Great question. I think the first one I mentioned in my intervention, that 40% is the GDP contribution that comes from tourism. Now, I lived before in Asia. I worked over 15 years in Asia, and Thailand, which is a main tourism market with 20% GDP, is very tourism dependent. So, I mean, 40% obviously is a lot more crucial. That means really everybody almost on the island is related in some way or form to tourism. Now, having said that, as it relates to markets, it is very much dependent, as the Honorable Ambassador said, on air connectivity. Right now, we have obviously a lot of flights coming from the UK. So UK is the main source market, and also the US. We just 2 weeks ago, the Honorable Minister, Lisa Cummings-Nye, and other people from the Barbados tourism ecosystem were at the airport and welcomed 3 inaugural flights. So I think that's with Virgin Atlantic coming from Scotland. We also had a flight with United Airlines from Dulles, from Washington, DC. And the other one escapes me now, but as the ambassador said, we have new flights with KLM from Holland, from Amsterdam. We have Aer Lingus, and then obviously flights from Air Canada, from Toronto, and also from the US. These are the main markets now: UK, US, and Canada. But I think, as you may have seen in the press, the Prime Minister just signed an air services agreement with Qatar Airways. And Qatar Airways is extremely important because it really opens up the world to us. Because, you know, Qatar Airways is a great hub, with Doha being one of the newest airports in the world. And it connects us even to Asia and other parts that have been unexplored so far. So I think the potential is tremendous now. We're working at other airline partners, as the ambassador mentioned. So I think creating connectivity, that will drive demand, and that will then stipulate how we can market and promote Barbados to these markets. But I think the beautiful thing with the Qatar Air Services Agreement is that it's not about Qatar as a source market, but really about Qatar being a hub of the world. So that's, I think, where I see the potential.
Thank you. Perhaps one more question to Mrs. Kaye Brathwaite. You mentioned before that some people or companies can make business out of Barbados. We know that with COVID, when the home office, many people work from home. So have some people or some companies already getting installed in Barbados? And what can you offer for these people who want to run a business out of Barbados? I give you the mic back.
Yes, thank you very much, Pierre. As I believe was mentioned by both Mark and Jens, during COVID, near the onset of COVID, Barbados implemented something called the Welcome Stamp through championed by BTMI and supported by all of the other agencies. And what the Welcome Stamp was aimed at doing is to allow persons to actually come and work from Barbados, almost as if they were working, sitting in their own place of residence, whether the Caribbean, whether the international space, and work from Barbados as if they were sitting in home, but of course, again, work from paradise. And what we saw a great uptake in that product in terms of the Welcome Stamp. And what actually happened is some persons chose then to continue their business from Barbados permanently. Apart from that, also in terms of persons coming in and looking to actually set up headquarters and businesses in Barbados, what we found is that during the COVID pandemic, especially at the height during 2020, a lot of persons set the base work for setting up their business. And once the world was partially reopened, made the trips to Barbados to actually start those businesses in Barbados. Over the last early 2021, we would have seen approximately maybe between 6 and 10 new businesses opening here in Barbados, some small, some in various areas, from fintech in the digital space to things like looking at renewable energy companies. And we continue to be working on some of the bigger ones, which obviously will take a little bit longer to set up and to bring the operations to Barbados. And we're looking at having a lot of those open and up and running operations very early in 2022. What do we offer? As I said, we offer a aftercare program that we believe is second to none. We hold your hand directly through the process. There are also a number of incentives, which obviously can't list off all here, but depending on the area or the sector you're going into, there's specific incentives that you can get in terms of coming and operating from Barbados. So there's a lot to be had in considering Barbados as your home, whether it is your home for your entire business or home for one of your subsidiaries or home for one of your headquarters. You would have heard Mark mention a company called Gildan, which is one of the world's largest t-shirt manufacturers. We do not manufacture a shirt in Barbados. However, the entire headquarters is located in Barbados, and they would have started years ago with about maybe 20 employees, and now they're up to 300 employees. Another company that operates from here is one of the world's largest producers of lenses, lenses for your spectacles, contact lenses, etc. And that sits right in Barbados with approximately 500 employees sitting down and manufacturing those little lenses and shipping them and exporting them just from this little island here in Barbados. So there's lots to offer, and we are more than welcome any questions, any direct questions to us, that we can provide any information that you may want in terms of how to get started, or even in terms of general research in consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Now my last question to Mark Hill from the Export CEO. Rome is one of the main export products you're telling us from Barbados. Can you tell a little bit more about that? What are the quantities that you export? It's always very interesting for sure for us Europeans here. And what part of the export does it represent? And why is Barbadian rum one of the best rums? I guess it is.
Yeah, it's one of the best in the world. We're the inventors of rum. So Barbados is the home of rum. As far as exports is concerned, rum is our biggest export, our top export. It accounts for around 30% of our overall exports at this point in time. And there's various types. We have the premium types, and we also export it as a bulk product as well, which is then aged later on and sent off to other markets. So we're looking to boost that. Right now, we're doing around 40 million US dollars in rum, and we're expecting to see that within the near future, within next year, pass to 50 million US in terms of rum sales. So it's one of those products that we're looking to see grow exponentially. We're now looking to diversify it, introducing some micro distilleries with some village rums, specific brands that are unique to the island that you can't get any other part of the world, with very, very high-end value add, with 100% Barbados molasses, 100% Barbados spring water, 100% Barbados bacteria that does the fermentation. So this is one bespoke, totally luxury. So those are coming. We're talking about 10-year, 15-year aged rums. So that it is a real, so for the Swedish, for the Swiss, as ambassador, helped me very much. The Swiss, to have a bottle of Barbados rum in their home is part of the luxury. You're not having a luxurious experience without a bottle of Barbados rum in your home or in your cabinet.
And you still have enough land on Barbados to grow the sugar cane, or is it difficult?
Yeah, well, we grow sugar cane right now as our main crop on the island, and we're doing a lot of sustainable farming. We're about to enter into agreement with a sustainable farming association, Basuco, which is for the entire global community. But we're building strong relationships with our colleagues in Guyana and Suriname, so that we will not run out of the sugar cane that we need to boost our rum exports for sure. But I also want to make it clear that we see it from a point of view of the fermentation technology. So while yes, rum as a core product, but our ability to engage in fermentation is a core strength. So any companies that are producing pharmaceuticals in that fermentation space can use Barbados as a destination to come and produce their products in our space as well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I guess Jans Thraenhart wanted to say something. Is that still okay? You have the hand raised. I'm sorry, we can't hear you. Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to ask the ambassador if I can be dismissed. I have to run to another call. If there are any other questions, I can quickly answer them, but they're already waiting for me. So I just wanted to ask the permission of the ambassador to be able to get to my other call. My apologies.
Absolutely, I understand fully, of course, the nature of your schedule. So thank you very much for joining us and for your very rich comments and presentation. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you,
Ambassador. And being European, obviously, my father is just at Lake Constance, which is bordering to Germany and Switzerland and Austria. So hopefully next time when I visit my father, then maybe I can stop by and we can meet in person.
I look forward to welcoming you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you very much for the invitation and have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day too. And if there are no other questions, I perhaps will slowly wrap up this conference, this press conference, and I will give you the opportunity, Mr. Chad Blackman and Mr. Ambassador, to perhaps give us a last word about your program here in Geneva and what's next for you.
Yes, thank you very much, Pierre, for giving me the floor again. And let me start by saying, once again, thanks to all of you who would have joined the call. Thanks to CEOs from Export Barbados, Invest Barbados, and PTMI, and for the press, of course, for joining us. But I think the take-home message that I really want to leave with you, the takeaway message going home, is that, as you've heard from all of our different agencies, Barbados is open for business. Barbados is ripe for investment. It is ripe for leisure. It is ripe for tourism. It is ripe, certainly, for luxury, but also from the aspects, not just in terms of lifestyle, but also policy. Barbados is blessed to have a leader in Prime Minister Mia Mottley, who continues to be a champion of developing countries around the world in ensuring that the narrative of small island developing states is advanced. And I think, therefore, when you combine those things with the physical attributes of Barbados, the geographical location, the temperature, the rum that you would have heard about, the innovation and innovativeness that our people have, the excellent infrastructure, the educational sector, you therefore realize and see that Switzerland and the Swiss have a place in the world that they can go to do business, to live, to work and play. And I think therefore the next step certainly for the mission and the embassy and my role certainly will be to ensure that we now build out with the Swiss government and the Swiss people, private sector as well, with our private sector in ensuring that we can harness an environment that facilitates growth on both sides, both inward and outward. And as you would have heard, Barbados is a place where once you go, you certainly will consider staying there much longer than a 1 or 2 week holiday or business trip. And therefore, I think that yesterday's presentation of credentials, whilst of course it was the next step in our journey of our relationship that existed before, it presents a new opportunity between our two great countries, Barbados and Switzerland, to deepen the ties and also to build out further opportunities for both Barbadians and the Swiss.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador. Thank you to all the speakers also for giving us this insight of Barbados and this new opportunity to get in the multilateral system here in Geneva to deepen the relations. And welcome always here to Geneva. Thank you to all of those who have followed us on Zoom, as well as on our website, www.pressclub.ch, or on our YouTube channel and Facebook channel. Thank you very much, and hope to see you again here at the Geneva Press Club.